Council of Ministers is likely to witness some changes following the return of Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal, who is currently in Dubai to attend the COP28 conference. Also in this edition of Kantipur News, we have updates about the resumed bombardment in Gaza and the South Asian Karate Championship. Good evening, I'm Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. Prime Minister Dahal addresses the COP28 conference, raises climate concerns of developing countries including Nepal, stresses on the need for developed countries to fulfill their pledge. Ministry of Agriculture expects no changes in paddy production. Madhya province witnesses decrease in production while Lumini and Gandaki to see increase in paddy output. Israel's renewed bombardment of Gaza continues into its second day. Military warns civilians in some areas to evacuate. More than 178 killed since the bombing resumed. And 7th South Asian Karate Championship begins in Kathmandu. Nepal exhibiting brilliant performance. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has made preparations to make changes in the Council of Ministers. Before leaving for the COP28 in Dubai, Prime Minister Dahal had held informal talks in his party regarding the changes. CPN Mao Centre Chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal's current Prime Minister term marks 1 year on December 26. Based on the previous agreement between the coalition parties, Prime Minister Dahal has made preparations to changes in the cabinet. He is currently in Dubai for COP28. According to leaders, formal discussions are to be held between the coalition parties after his return. Parties in the ruling alliance are currently holding internal talks regarding the same. CPN Mao Centre, which is leading the government, is making preparations to hold talks by calling a meeting of the Central Committee. Main party of the alliance, Nepali Congress, is also in favor of changing ministers. However, Congress leaders have claimed that it would take some time. Leaders have said that the cabinet is likely to be revised after the election of the National Assembly slated for January 25. Janata Samajwadi Party and CPN Unified Socialist are preparing to change their ministers as well. Prime Minister Dahal is understood to be in favor of revising the Council of Ministers following increase in grievances regarding the performance of the ministers. Senior leaders are not content with the performance of the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Home Affairs Narayan Kaji Shrestha, Finance Minister Prakash Charan Mahat, Minister for Physical Infrastructures and Transport Prakash Jala and Minister for Education Ashok Rai, among others. Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal has said that he has participated in the UN Climate Change Conference COP28, seeking justice for people of Nepal who have been facing effects of climate change. Addressing the high-level session of the conference, Premier Dahal said that although Nepal is among the countries with less contribution to climate change, the country has witnessed massive losses due to floods, landslides, wildfire and glacial burst, among other natural disasters. The Premier has made calls for the protection of lower Himalayan range as millions of people depend on it for their livelihood and is a basis of civilization. He said that developing countries, including Nepal, have been facing financial and technical difficulties in climate change adaptation and minimization of its effects. The Premier has stressed on the need for developed countries to fulfill their pledge and provide technical and financial support to underdeveloped and Himalayan countries that have been reeling under the effects of climate change. Prior to this, Premier Dahal had also addressed the high-level segment under the COP28 to promote Mountain Agenda. During the program, Premier Dahal highlighted the delay in implementing the Paris Climate Accords to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. He stressed on the need for equitable climate fund, simple procedure, transparency and benefit for countries including Nepal. He called on the world leaders to join hands for accelerated actions to address the effects of climate change, which he termed an issue of justice and rights. During the conference, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that delay in addressing Mountain Agenda would cause an irreparable loss and urged the concerned countries and entities to address the issue. Guterres said that he had witnessed firsthand the impacts of climate change in Nepal's mountainous region and highlighted the delay in addressing it. On the second day of the conference yesterday, the Loss and Damage Fund was officially set up. The fund has been established to provide financial assistance to countries that have been worst impacted by the effects of climate change. A number of countries, including the United Arab Emirates, have made financial pledges for the fund. Lumbini Province Conference of Nepali Congress has begun. Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba has inaugurated the conference in Butwal. More than 750 participants, including conference representatives of 52 electoral constituencies of Lumbini Province, regional presidents, district presidents, and officials of the well-wishing entities are attending the conference. Organizational and financial reports are to be presented at the conference, which will be held for 2 days. Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question: why has European Union failed to brand Nepal's aviation sector as safe? Your options are A, criteria not fulfilled, B, being biased, and C, service providers not accountable. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, adverse weather condition and shortage of chemical fertilizers during plantation season is likely to see no changes in paddy production this year in comparison to last year. 5.4 million tons of paddy was produced last year. According to the government, paddy production has reduced in Madhya Province. The Madhya Province Ministry of Land Management, Agriculture and Cooperatives has said that 1,030,000 tons of paddy is likely to be produced this year. Delayed rainfall has led to less paddy plantation in Madhya this year. 1,422,000 tons of paddy was produced in Madhya last year. The government has claimed that the national paddy production will not decrease because of good production in Koshi, Lumbini and Gandaki provinces. Major crop of Nepal, paddy, has a direct impact on the gross domestic production of the country. Despite production of 5.4 million tons of paddy, it fails to meet the demand by around 1 million ton. Paddy is planted over 1,470,000 hectares of land in the country. The third Janga Festival, involving more than 200 artists from 39 countries, including Nepal, has begun in Kathmandu. A total of 340 works of art are being exhibited at the festival. The exhibition has been organized with the objective of sharing learning between artists of different countries. Workshops are also being organized at the heritage sites of Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur during the exhibition. According to the organizers, artists are to be taken to Nagarkot to witness the sunrise and sunset as well. The event is expected to help promote tourism in Nepal. Time now for international update. Israel's renewed bombardment of Gaza is continuing into its second day as the military warns civilians in some areas to evacuate. Fighting resumed on Friday after a 7-day ceasefire expired. Israel and Hamas have blamed each other for failing to agree to an extension. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 178 people have been killed since the bombing restarted. The Israeli military says it has struck 400 targets across the strip. The IDF says 50 strikes hit the area of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza overnight. Civilians were told to go there earlier in the war for their safety. Sirens were also heard in parts of Israel on Friday, with rockets fired from Gaza intercepted. The Hamas attack on Israel on 7th of October killed 1,200 people, with around 240 others taken hostage. Since then, Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry says more than 14,800 people have been killed in Israel's retaliatory campaign, including about 6,000 children. Holding their hands up with a sticker in their palms reading "End Fossil Fuels," protesters gathered to demand the U.S. to phase out the use of fossil fuels. Governments lined up a slew of energy announcements on today at the UN Climate Summit in Dubai, where countries are under pressure to come up with plans to halt the non-stop rise in planet warming emissions. A pledge to triple the world's renewable energy capacity by 2030 is poised to win support from more than 110 countries, with some pushing for the final agreement from the COP28 summit to include it as a global goal. The European Union, United States and COP28 host, the United Arab Emirates, have been rallying support for the pledge, with the deal that boosting renewable capacity will help countries move away from polluting fossil fuels. The United States Vice President Kamala Harris said during the COP28 conference that the country pledges $3 billion to the Green Climate Fund. A thick blanket of smog reduced visibility this morning as New Delhi residents struggled to continue weekend activities amid the heavy pollution. Roads and buildings were shrouded in smog as the U.S. Embassy's Air Quality Index, AQI, hovered around 259, putting it in the very unhealthy category. An AQI level of 400 to 500 impacts healthy people and is dangerous to those with existing diseases, while a level of 150 to 200 brings discomfort to people with asthma, lung and heart problems. Levels of 0 to 50 are considered good. The Indian capital's air pollution gets worse in winter when wind speeds drop and cooling air traps pollutants spewed by vehicles, industry and farmers burning agricultural waste in surrounding states to prepare for new planting. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Prime Minister Dahal addresses the COP28 conference, raises climate concerns of developing countries, including Nepal, stresses on the need for developed countries to fulfill their pledge. Ministry of Agriculture expects no changes in paddy production. Madhya province witnesses decrease in production, while Lumbini and Gandaki to see increase in paddy output. Israel's renewed bombardment of Gaza continues into its second day. Military warns civilians in some areas to evacuate. More than 178 killed since the bombing resumed. And 7th South Asian Karate Championship begins in Kathmandu. Nepal exhibiting brilliant performance. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.